Vankers, before we get into this episode of Vanka Hours, we have to tell you about our live show happening in New York, December 8th at City Winery. Link will be in the description. If you are a New York area Vanka, come see Matt and I. Guenther won't be there, but you can take a picture with us and say, hey, I took a picture with the guys who do a podcast with Guenther Steiner. That's pretty darn good. So why don't you come to New York, be at the show, celebrate the end of this beautiful 2024 season with your two of your three favorite Vankas.
Hello, Vankers.
What's up, Vankas?
Hello, Vankas. This is Vanka Hours, brought to you by BetMGM. We have so much to discuss. Everything Qatar. Sergio Perez. He's out, baby. He's out. According to, I think, one news source.
According to who?
According to ESPN, which seems pretty legit. I mean, there's stuff to talk about with the race. There's the Max and George beef. There's the Stewards. There's MBS. But this is hot off the presses. This is big news. Sergio Checo Perez seemingly out at Red Bull, going to retire at the end of the year. Guenther, what do you make of this news story?
I think we saw it all coming, huh? I don't think it's... But then again, we had this news before the summer break. Checo Perez is not coming back. And then where he was, he's still here, so you never know. But I think it is real this time. I think he will say goodbye. I mean, it cannot be nice for him. Can you imagine to being him? His teammate is world champion and he gets out in Q1, when he makes a point, he's happy, and he has got for sure a lot of good things to do in life.
Nicer things to do than finish.
Being abused by you guys, by being abused by you guys. Yeah.
by me, us. by us. This is us. We're doing this together, Guenther.
Guenther, you were in there. Don't try to skate away from this one. But here's the thing. What was so interesting about this whole Checo story? What's so interesting about this whole Checo story was that it seemed like for a while, it didn't matter what he did. He was just going to keep that seat. And I think we all felt like we were going a little bit crazy.
What do you think the tipping point? What do you think the tipping point was, Guenther?
I think, obviously he's not in the right space. What he did again, when did he start off pit lane? Was it Saturday or Sunday?
Yeah.
And, waited there Saturday. And then color pin Saturday. It's like, he wasn't even focused on the, on the pit exit line. It's a race start, buddy, Color Pinto comes. This guy's not moving. I overtake him here. I was like,
he was like at the red light, lost in thought.
Yeah, exactly. He was, I guess he was already back at home. Yeah. He was already back at home, so I don't know. That it was weird to watch. And then I don't know exactly what happened in the race when his car didn't go anymore. I think I hear somewhere that the clutch was burnt out or something like this.
Yeah, maybe there was the car switched off and he spun out, but that's...
Yeah. It's a lot.
Zhou Guan Yu has more points in the last few races than Checo Perez, and that's when you know that something's up, something's wrong, the guy's not in the right headspace, and I think it's maybe time to hang up the racing boots. What do you think is next for him, Guenther?
I think next for him should be that he just settles down and does nothing for a while, to get back to be himself. This cannot be easy on anybody, what is happening to him. Mentally, it's difficult to digest. So I don't think he should look into where is my next gig coming, but it's like, all right, let's settle down, see what I want to do, and maybe come back
Start
and
a podcast. Start a podcast with us.
No, that's not a good idea because then you've got one more competition.
Right, that's true, Guenther.
Exactly.
Matt,
I always,
You're thinking smart. Now, who's replacing him? Because everyone said Liam Lawson's going to replace him, and now Yuki's driving pretty well. What are we going to do? I
think the safest bet in the moment would be Yuki. Because Liam is good, but Yuki, how many years is he now in Formula One? And in the end, they want a safe pair of hands. And Yuki is not a slow driver; he's fast. Maybe they manage him a little bit different. Clearly he needs to be the wingman for Max, and I think he's pretty happy to do that for a year. And put him in there because Liam is still a big risk as we see with the rookies. Liam was like, he did 3 good races last year, but this year Yuki seems to have the upper hand on him, and Liam makes mistakes. And we see it with Colapinto. I mean, and I'm one of them. After the first 2 races, we thought this is the best thing after sliced bread, And, here you are, He slices the cars like sliced bread now in the moment.
It's crazy. It's like the best thing you could do is do one race and then get out. Like the worst thing is it's everybody's Nick de Vries now. You stay in too long.
You're right. Nick did one good race and he was the next big thing. And then after 6 months, he was without a seat, It's a little bit and that's why I say, I think Yuki, if you look over the last 2 years, 3 years, he was pretty solid, Yeah, he made mistakes, but who didn't? But in the end, he always, and he's doing it now a long time. And by now, obviously, I think for Yuki to be a world champion will be difficult, but is he a good driver? Yes.
Let's do all the exits. We don't have a lot of time. Guenther's a busy man. Let's do all the exits. Okay. There's news that Ocon is in a rush.
Yeah.
He's in an absolute rush. He's like, I need to be at Haas now.
I cannot wait. Yeah.
I cannot wait. I mean, how bad has it gotten there, Guenther, that they're like, you know what? Let's get a rookie. Like this guy just got P2 for us in Brazil, but let's get him the fuck out of here. And let's get a rookie in. Like what's going on? Why are they breaking up with each other so early? Well, can you explain this to me? Why can you explain why Ocon is so eager to get into what sort of work is he going to be doing for Haas? Can you explain that to us? Why this is so important to everybody?
I think, except Brazil, which was special circumstances, to say it mildly. I think the big thing is there. I think Ocon has now become the team. Apparently he complains a lot and does these things which is destructive for a team. And maybe the team said, we had enough of this shit, basically, How can we, except Brazil, I don't think Jack Doohan can do worse than Ocon in the moment. So, let's get a new guy in, at least give him a race, see what he can do, and don't have always this negativity in the team, everything is wrong with me, you just want to have me over. Okay, it's your wish. You don't want to be here because you think we treat you unfairly. So just go and do what you want. And obviously, Flavio is a smart guy. He saw the opportunity when he was asked, can he drive the Haas before the end of the season? He said, yeah, you can. If we can drive, if somebody else can drive your car, the last race of the season. So, and Ocon maybe is as well pretty happy about it. He says, because he's convinced that he gets inferior material. So the best thing to do is to move on. Sometimes the best thing is to move on in life.
Well, I think it seems like it's worth it maybe for Alpine to get Doohan in a little bit early so that he can have a little bit more of a jump start going into next year. But they're very close in this battle for 6th place with Haas. I mean, Alpine's got 59 points. Haas is 54 points. You would think that given Ocon, getting a podium not too long ago, that he would be the best chance for them to hold on to that lead, but maybe they're making that sacrifice. How important is it for them to hold on to that place, that 6th place? Because it seems like bringing Doohan in maybe is going against that goal.
Yeah, but you just said it there. But maybe they don't believe in Ocon anymore. So if you don't believe in anymore, and maybe they even believe he's going to Haas, where is he going? To the team they try to beat as well,
right.
So it's like maybe we don't want to have him in our car,
and
he's complaining anyway.
Throwing a little. He might be, They do this in the NFL, right? It's like you want the first pick, so then all of a sudden you're losing games so that you can get the best, draft status. I guess.
Io could be like, do you have to drive so fast the last couple of races? Maybe help us out a little bit. Maybe he's driving for Haas early already. Now, my question for you is, maybe I'm missing something, Guenther. You people say, that they got to convince Ocon to get out of his seat early. His seat. Why can't they just throw him out whenever they want? It's their team. Can you explain that to me?
Yeah, there's penalties in both ways. If you have no reason to throw somebody out, he can claim damages and all. I don't know his contract, but for sure he has got a very good contract. And in the end, they need to convince him to leave. And as I said before, I mean, Flavio, we don't have to teach Flavio how to deal with the contract, So he maybe just says, yeah, if you want to drive the Haas after Abu Dhabi, yeah, you can, but we want to drive your car and the race with Jack Doohan, So
it's not like football. You can't just bench somebody.
No.
Okay,
you can, but you can do everything, but there's consequences. And
I see.
normally they are money-wise, and nobody likes to throw money away, You always try to find a solution, yeah. So
I didn't know that, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners didn't either.
Yeah, money is difficult to come by.
Okay, we've talked contracts, we've talked the news going into Abu Dhabi, but let's talk Qatar. Let's talk this race. Let's talk the thing that you've been saying, you've been shouting from a rooftop for years on end. The stewards. These stewards that we got running who's getting what penalty, who's getting one time penalty. What did you make of the absolute clown show that was the Qatar stewarding?
I have no words anymore. And race director, yeah,
we will get to the race director, but let's start with the stewards. I
mean, again, inconsistency. I mean, I don't remember a one grid penalty.
Right.
Ever.
Ever.
I
felt like I was like,
I didn't know that existed. Yeah.
I was like, are we just like stupid new fans that like a one grid penalty? No, I mean, that's a crazy grid penalty.
Yeah, but also if you go back, if you look since they introduced the minimum time on the outlap, that magical, it was breached so many times, and the risk always was that somebody's going to do this, going slow in the first two sectors and then say, oh, I needed to go fast because otherwise I would breach my time. And that, I remember to have made aware the race director, not me personally, our team manager. Somebody will use that to his advantage, but nobody got ever penalized because there was always an excuse. Yeah, because he was held up by this guy. Because it's very difficult to do. Either you're going a minimum time for each sector and then each mini sector. But then again, why we go racing? Because if you just have to do it like a machine, like a computer, we know the outcome of it, it's part of the game. So that was used, this time against Max, because I don't think Max, he was in his minimum time and George said, yeah, I had to go fast because otherwise, yeah, but if you go back, how many times have George Russell breached that minimum time? I think it's, all the drivers did it, not only him, because sometimes you can just get it together. So I don't know why they give a penalty at all. For me, unexplainable, but it's the same like the penalty, the 10 seconds drive-through. The drive-through, I haven't seen a drive-through for a long time.
They might as well have told him, like, hey, why don't you just retire the car? He was able to, climb back and get some points. But, ultimately a 35-second penalty.
Yeah, but it's never, when they said it on TV, I was like getting these guys confused at a 10 seconds drive-through. It was like, stop and go drive-through. You can do a drive-through or 10 seconds, but the combination of it, was like, wow, that's weird, it's like, I don't know where that came from. So.
Well, there's the double wave yellows for Lando, and then there was confusion about the signage there, but then there was also the speeding in the pit lane for Lewis to also drive through. Yeah. It seemed like pretty draconian.
Yeah, because I think they put that one on because the speeding was under safety car. Is that correct? So they thought it was more like to get an advantage or something. But I don't know. As I said, the consistency, we can make a study out of it, but there's no consistency in it because for sure that it happened before that somebody was speeding in the pit lane, It's like, but I've never seen a drive-through for that.
Well, yeah, which is why it's important, as you said. We reposted the clip of you talking about how we need permanent stewards, and if everyone's like a million times, yes. It's crazy. You need to establish. This is what they do in every professional sports league. When an umpire establishes a strike zone, that's the strike zone for the game. This is what the rules are going into the NFL. You can't hit him at the heads. You can't tackle the quarterback straight to the ground. That's the rule for the year. And this is what the penalty will be. And then that's what it is every time it's called. Obviously there's people have their own issues with those referees, but at least there's an established, this is what it should be. And it seems like there's none of that in this billion of billion dollar sport. It's crazy.
What's the pushback against our idea now? It's our idea.
It's our idea.
That's right.
I think a lot of people like to do this. That's my opinion. Politically, yeah. That can be the only reason. But I don't understand why you want to do that, knowing that you cannot be as prepared as somebody which is doing it as a full-time job. Because you cannot. And first of all, you're not paid for it. So, we all like to volunteer for things, but not on a full-time basis, and being critiqued around the world. I mean, you volunteer to be made out a fool,
So it's like a perk. It's like a perk.
It looks like.
Then hey, you can be a steward for one of the races. Isn't that great? Yeah. And then maybe they're giving money to whoever. Maybe they're giving money to the FIA. Maybe they're donors in some way. They have high political standing, and they say, you'll be a steward. But it must seem like
it's a patronage system.
You fuck up the race, and then everyone's yelling. Everyone hates you. Everyone's mad at you. So it can't be that great to be one of the stewards.
Why would you enjoy that one?
Well, why would Checo want to be in that seat? It just people.
At
least it's fun. Come on, Matt. At least driving an F1 car is fun. Sitting in an office watching TV is not fun,
And then going into a rule book. Wait. What does it say? Doesn't sound like the most fun to me. Okay.
Do you think MBS is cheap? Do you think it's cheap? Do you think the FIA is cheap? They don't want to pay these guys?
No, but I mean, we're talking about two people. There is hundreds of people employed. I mean, that doesn't make it or break it. So I think, as you said, it's politically, it's just like it was like this all the time. So let's keep it. It was changed under Max Mosley. There was a full-time steward at some stage, but they weren't very happy, and they said the experiment failed. But I don't remember the details of that one. I know that at some stage they had a full-time, actually a guy which was full-time there, But, for me, it should be 2 and 2. So you keep on that, the old system of the volunteers. So the 2 volunteers should supervise the employed people, that they are not getting biased over somebody, because it's easy to see in a room. When you're sitting with people over hours, you immediately see what people is thinking,
See, you're trying to change things from the inside. You're trying to say, here's the workaround. You keep 2 of them, and then you do 2 the other way. I think we need a hostile takeover.
Yeah.
There needs to be a hostile takeover. No. I don't care about the deals that you have, the handshakes that you've made. We're hiring professional stewards. We're not going to be biased towards these drivers, and we're going to get this thing back on track.
That's why you'll never get anything done, Bernie Sanders. You have to do things slowly and gracefully.
Dude,
yeah,
I'm not saying gracefully, slowly.
That's why I'm Alphaba and you're Glinda. That's right. What's really going on. Glinda wants to change things from the inside. Alphaba is just going to be over them.
But wait a moment.
Yes.
So if you try to do this like a coup, put two full-time people.
Wait a minute. Yeah. Wait, first of all, I'm so glad you talk about the coup. How do we get rid? How do we impeach? How do we impeach?
MBS needs to be gone.
I cannot say that. I mean, my past doesn't work anymore.
I'm saying it.
Well, so wait a moment. Wait a moment.
Out there, he's saying, don't worry about where the money goes. Don't mind your business. I mean, what FIA president goes, you don't need to worry about. He's literally the wizard. Talking about Wicked, he's the Wizard of Oz. Pay no attention to the money behind the curtain. What are we doing here?
But no. Going back to the stewards, because if you put in profession, throw everything out, they will say, the professionals they're going to be biased towards one team. Look forward, prevent it. Okay, that is how we do it. I don't think that's a bad place. They have no authority. The other 2 have no authority.
Yeah.
They're just there so it doesn't happen what people say. If you put full-time in, they could go with one team. No, they could, but this is the solution. So you need to make change, to people so you have no comeback, It's like,
you could also have rotating full-time stewards, like the referees.
No, consistency, Matt, consistency. If a full-time steward is his full-time job, because they need to work also on the rules when they are not stewarding. because they have to implement the rules. They know best what they need written down to make good decisions. Because in the moment, the rule book is like, it could be this, could be that. Yeah, we could be a drive-through. Yeah, it could be this. No, it could be that. So, and then we need, and then propose it, get the people to sign off, the F1 commission on it and move on. But anyway, on one thing, I would like to say, the GPDA said, they critiqued who got sacked, who they employed, whatever. And, the MBS came back with saying, I need to run my company. And I would agree with that because, how would it be if everybody says how to run the other people's company? Right or wrong, how he runs it, that's a different thing, but not telling him what he should be doing. The members should decide that one.
You wouldn't tell them where their fine money went.
At some stage he needs to become clean of that one. That doesn't go away. It's a federation. The federation internally will check. He's voted by his members, So if the members are okay where the money goes, I'm with you to say that the money should go to fine money. Normally goes in every other sport to charities or something like this. Correct?
But it's weird. Yeah. It's weird, Guenther, because they're a governing body that. They govern F1, yet other people vote on the leader. It doesn't make sense. No taxation without representation. That's what I say. I'm saying that the drivers should have a vote on who governs them. And right, it doesn't make sense. They're a governing body.
Yeah, but I don't think that the drivers will have a say because then again he comes in. The thing is like a lot of other motorsports, especially in the US, they govern themselves. IndyCar has got their own governing body. NASCAR has got their own governing body. They don't have an outside governing body, but what the FIA has got, they have got the right to the F1 naming rights, and they sold them. And the part of that contract is we keep on governing the sport. You promoted FOM, Liberty Media, and we govern them because it's ours, So they have got that, it's theirs. They invented that years ago, and obviously that is what they are doing. You cannot say they are not allowed to. It's all... It's like
there's debate of whether F1 is bigger than the thing. Maybe they should go out on their own, but it wouldn't be.
They cannot. They can't exactly. They cannot.
It would be a different. It would be
GP1. Yeah, name. It would be GP1. Yeah,
GP1, which would be a whole headache to try to get people to say, "Oh, and it's this now," and then there'd be a whole big long negotiation. However, okay, but the situation with Salam, right? He fires the race director before Vegas. Then the new race director, Rui Marquez, is seen littering on the Vegas track. But you know what? Vegas goes off without a hitch. Vegas happens, la-di-da. Then this race happens. The mirror flies off the Williams car on the straight. It's sitting there like a lame duck. It's sitting there like a landmine. It's just waiting to explode. Yeah. And everyone could see, what the hell are they doing? How are you not doing something to get this thing out of the way? And in his attempt to not do anything, he makes it 10 times worse. 2 cars get punctures. Then the whole race is kind of like thrown off its axis. And I understand that, what do you make of that whole situation that he's in his second race? This travesty happens. This is a huge, huge error.
Absolutely. As you say, I think 99% of the people which watch this race there's a mirror on the track. This needs to get cleaned up. Everybody understood it, huh? I was like, I cannot believe it, because, and then obviously you think, oh, maybe he gets lucky and nobody hits the mirror. What happens? The mirror is hit. And what happens? What you all know what is going to happen. And then, we have got the double yellow for a mirror on the track, which normally it's like the mirror should be removed. And it was clear the mirror needs to be removed. I think for me it was a clear mistake, and he just didn't want to take the decision because he said, "Oh, maybe I get lucky," but maybe somebody gets hurt.
But why couldn't they just? Why can't we just send a guy out there, run like Wimbledon, and pick it up?
Because it isn't Wimbledon. There is cars coming at 350 kph, Matt. I mean, if that guy then is killed, say, Matt said, you should run out, buddy,
They got GPS. They know when there's a gap.
Yeah, but you cannot do it. I mean, you should not take that risk. But, the other thing would be, maybe, and I didn't rewatch the race, but, a virtual safety car and make the cars come through pit lane. And then a guy, because they said, there was never a gap in between. Put VSC. They said we didn't put VSC because there wasn't the gap to go out to pick the mirror and bring it back. Right. So, but put VSC and go through pit lane, because I think if you go through pit lane, somebody could have gone out there,
I think it's part of the spectacle. World fastest pit stops, world fastest guys who could run out like Frogger onto the track, pick up the mirror.
And if he's killed, or a drone, pick it up with a drone or something like that.
Well, we were thinking that.
Is there some
type of technology to be able, or a Dyson, Jenny has an idea, Dyson branded industrial shop vac to vacuum up the debris. How about that?
Wow.
Because it's $1 billion industry.
Yeah.
Guenther,
with the smartest engineers in the world.
And they go out with janitor brooms. And it's a sham.
With guys, with people who volunteer from the local area, and they run out there in their orange suits and they try to get a piece of debris, and then they run off. Anyway, this is
it wasn't good. Yeah,
if the three of us were running this thing, that's how it would be done. So Mohammed Salam, if you need a new race director, the three of us could be your guys.
Yeah, drones. We would do it all.
Yeah.
Vacuum cleaners, drones. I mean, it's like. But they would need to pay us a shitload of money,
That's right.
However much they pay Ben Sulayem, the FIA, minus like $1 million. 69 million? We could do it for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Venkers, as you know, we have teamed up with BetMGM this season, and we are using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks. And if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code DADDY, and you will get up to $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. You download the BetMGM app and you sign up using the bonus code DADDY, cause we're fun. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure that you use the bonus code DADDY when you sign up. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code DADDY and get your first $1,500 first bet offer today. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 and over. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY for New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP for Arizona. 1-800-327-5050 for Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF for Indiana. 1-800-981-0023 for Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code DADDY and get your $1,500 first bet offer today. Before we get into our awards, I wanted to touch the Max Verstappen, George Russell drama of the weekend, because you said earlier, it was a one-place grid penalty. I've never heard of that before. I kind of feel like they just gave him a one-place grid penalty to make George shut the hell up, because it seems like in that driver's meeting, George was just, he was in there with one mission, which was that Max was going to be penalized for what he did to George. And they said, all right, if you give him a one-place grid penalty, will you shut the fuck up? And then they did, and they said, Max, can you go pass him on the first turn? And then that's what happened. But what do you mean? And then, so Max afterwards said he's lost all respect for George, told George to fuck off, said that he's never seen someone act like that in a driver's meeting. He was determined to screw him over. What do you make of this little drama between these two top drivers?
Normally when you go into that room, the drivers come with you because they have to explain what they did and why they did that, what is what, when they look at the data. But normally the drivers, they are staying, they are not arguing. They are giving evidence basically. And the arguing is happening with the team managers. The team managers take the stand for the team, and that's where I think Max was surprised and upset, because that is what they normally don't do, the drivers. They are not going in there to have another driver over, because they know they are out on the track together. So why would you make your enemy? Let your boys doing the fighting, You're just there to support them. Like when you go to court. I mean, there's a witness, So it's, and I think Max was just surprised how emotional George got and how much he wanted this penalty for Max. It was like, what? Dude, I mean, and obviously he didn't like it, and Max speaks his, what he thinks, and, was just like, I lost all respect, because normally that is not what they do in there, and I don't know what he said in there, George, obviously, but it must have been pretty strong, because Max is not he's not a weak guy. Yeah.
Do you think it was, for the cost of a single place, do you think it was a tactical mistake to make an enemy of Max Verstappen for life?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the risk,
it's not what you're going to do. I mean, pick your battles. I mean, you know, the good old saying, you pick your battles, and you're not picking a battle with Max for a pole position, and he's beside you, because he's going to fuck you over at the start,
Right.
And that's what he did,
Guenther, you told me a valuable lesson one time we were in Vegas. You told me sometimes you have to lose to win. I found that very wise.
A wise guy, I'm old,
Yeah.
That's right.
I say, sometimes we lose too much. But,
well, Guenther, you got a lot of winning coming your way. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, it's coming. An avalanche of it is coming towards my window,
You've paved the way.
You've paved the way, baby. You got a lot of winning coming your way, baby.
Yeah, and there is one answer to that, and it's 2 words, and it's not Merry Christmas, by the way, so.
Oh, my God.
Okay, let's get into our awards for this race. Let's start with Rockstar and a Wanker for Qatar, brought to you by Cash App. Guenther, who was your Rockstar for the Qatar GP?
You know who? Zoo.
I talked to a guy from Beijing, and they've been. It's not Joe.
No,
Okay,
in England they called him Joe when he was racing in go-karts and small cars. They called him Joe, but Zoo. I think what he did, I mean, he knows he's out of Formula One and he's got another race, and he puts this performance down, and at the end of it, Magnussen couldn't get near him. There's no chance, at no chance. I mean, it's not like that he was struggling. No, he was. I mean, obviously the car must have gone better, but in qualifying he was decent, So I give him a lot of respect for that, to do this after a season like this, because I mean, he was. I mean, how many times was he last in qualifying?
Almost all of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he won them all, So yeah, except when somebody started from pit lane and didn't see the green light, But anyway,
right.
yeah.
But and he outperformed his multiple race-winning teammate, Valtteri Bottas, who, people were keying for the Audi seat. He didn't get it, but, very well-respected driver. And then all of a sudden, on the day where they actually could get points, he's the one who gets points, and Valtteri's left outside the top 10.
And who's your Wanker of the day?
I think we have to elect a race director for that one, huh? I don't think anybody fucked up like him,
Is it the race director, or is it the guy who put him in that position and multiple other F1 Academy, F2, F3? Maybe he's also cleaning up after, like he's got 9 different positions because they've fired everybody.
I mean, if he's asked to take that position and he thinks he cannot do it, you can say no. You don't have to take it, So I wouldn't say it's, don't blame anybody else. I mean, the mistake of not getting that mirror out of the way was his,
Right.
There was no, I mean, it should be his. I mean, if somebody else told him not to get it, then he's even worse, because then he takes orders, because you need to make your own, you are a race director. You need to do your job, And that's why I say, we could speculate, should he be there? And I don't know the guy. I've never met him, to be honest, so, or not as I know of, maybe I said hello to him, but, and I have nothing against people, but what was done there was just, in my opinion, wrong. It was dangerous, and that shouldn't be.
Do you think one guy should be doing race directing for F1 Academy and F2 and F1? You think that's an okay workload, or?
I think it's, I mean, you can do a one-off like it happened, because they sacked the race director of F2.
Right.
I wouldn't sack the race director, and she was the deputy race director before, correct?
Sure.
You know better than us.
Yeah, I think she was the deputy race director, F3, F2. And they put her in as a race director, and they're saying, we just get one guy to do everything, and that's a little bit steep. But as I said, you can say no. If you say, I cannot do it because, I can do it, but I will do a shit job. I wouldn't do it. I mean, it's like, why would I do it?
Yeah.
So, and I don't think that decision of the mirror had to do because he didn't sleep at night because he was overwhelmed. I mean, that was just like, it was too easy of a decision, It's like, get that mirror off the track because somebody will hit it, It's like, yeah. Even if I don't sleep for 2 days, I still am smart enough to do that.
And honestly, he's lucky that it only ended with ruining the race and not someone's life because it's on the fastest point of the track. And then you have a piece of debris there that's
and
bound
2 cars had a puncture. And
2 cars had a puncture, and they're lucky that they didn't fly off into the barriers going at the fastest they could possibly go.
The punctures, we need to be careful because I get my information because when I gonna sit down with you guys, I spoke with Mario and they haven't done the analysis yet. The tires are not back in Milan yet. So because the tires were well worn out because everybody obviously stayed out longer hoping that the safety car comes. I mean, that's what you do in a case like this because something will happen. So everybody stayed out and the tire, I think it was the front left was, everybody was using it well up. So he said, I cannot tell you, was it, the debris which punctured the tires? He said the chances are high that it was that one because it was a slow puncture. Basically, it wasn't like boom, like when a tire is worn out when it's on the canvas. When the canvas goes, it's just a big bang and you lose it, So, but there is no certainty that it was actually the debris, but we assume yes for our
I mean, we can assume they have to do their due diligence because they're an organization that has
they know what they're doing. They know what they are doing, and
we're the dumb guys saying if it quacks like a duck and it walks like a duck, it's a fucking duck. But also, I do want to point while we're on Wanker of the Week to the race director. Let's also make sure that we remember that he did litter on the Vegas track in his first race as race director. He stopped his car, took his sandwich wrapper or whatever he had in his car, went over the fence and just threw it on the ground. Like Andy Samberg from the viral YouTube video, I threw it on the ground. So this guy is he's 0 for 2. First 2 races.
For that one, he should be for what you call social services, cleaning up streets, at least.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're going to have Max Verstappen doing community service. Maybe they're cleaning up after the race director.
Yes.
That will be his punishment from MBS.
Yeah.
Vankas, not only does Cash App sponsor our favorite perfectly branded Formula One team, but they also make it easier for you to save money so you can do the things you love, like going to an F1 race. Listen, to be honest, we thought that Cash App was just a way to send people money. Hey, Cash App me for that. But it's a way faster and simpler way to bank. You can start saving with as little as $1, no hidden fees, no minimum balance requirements, no account fees. And we all know that overdraft fees make no sense. Why are you charging someone if they don't have any money? Plus, when you deposit $300 or more in paychecks, you can get up to $50 in free overdraft coverage. It pays to get paid on Cash App, so go download the app today. What are you doing? Now back to the show. All right, let's get into our next award, the Perfectly Untamed Award, brought to you by Buffalo Trace. Guenther, who is perfectly untamed in Qatar?
Who was perfectly untamed? I think Max was untamed about his feelings of George. I mean, that was untamed. But that was off the...
Well, he made his perfectly untamed
moment,
feelings known in the track on the track as well. I mean, it was a dominant performance from Max.
Yeah, at the start.
He won he beat George on the track and then called him out for being a fake person.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's him. Yeah. Go, Max.
Max Verstappen, the guy is perfectly untamed.
Can I give an honorable mention?
Yeah.
Kevin Magnussen just been out here driving like crazy, as if he still has a chance in Formula One. Well, he's been better than Hulkenberg the past couple of races. What's going on with him?
I think it took him a little bit longer to realize that he hasn't got a job.
Yeah.
And now says, wow, I need to do something about this. I need to go back what I'm actually good at, racing like a madman, That's why everybody likes me, So, but it's too late, I think, huh? But you never know. I mean, Cadillac is coming in 26, so apparently, I mean, you never know, Right. He would be a good choice. He has got experience.
Yeah.
So
maybe he's trying to say...
Impress somebody now, yeah?
Hey, I know you're going to have one American driver, Or maybe, you'd want to, but what about this guy? What about this?
But look at me, yeah.
That's right. Vegas, this episode is brought to you by Buffalo Trace Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Buffalo Trace is crafted at the oldest continually operated distillery in America. The distillery has been making whiskey since 1773. That is 250 beautiful years. Buffalo Trace, the flagship bourbon from the world's most award-winning distillery, has a bold, robust flavor that is still incredibly smooth since it's aged 7 to 8 years for an elevated taste. Ahead of the next race, grab a bottle of Buffalo Trace and discover for yourself why this whiskey wins so many awards. Drink it straight or try the Buffalo Old Fashioned. Buffalo Trace, American-made, family-owned, and always perfectly untamed. Buffalo Trace Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey has 45% alcohol by volume, proudly produced at Buffalo Trace Distillery, Frankfort, Kentucky. All right, let's get into our fan questions. This is from Alice Bowie. Guenther, how do you feel about some drivers obviously giving up and mailing it in?
Explain me the saying.
Mailing it like you're at the end. You're doing the bare minimum. It's the end of the workday, and you're barely doing your job.
You get a drive-through penalty, and you say retire the car, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, Lewis Hamilton seems like he's ready to just not drive in Abu Dhabi. There was a rumor that he wasn't even going to go to Abu Dhabi, but it seems like he's so done with Mercedes, and he is so ready to be in Ferrari. But he wanted to retire the car, and they were like, "No, the car's still good, actually."
When the going get tough, you retire the car.
Yeah. Guys, seriously, let's retire this hunk of junk.
I mean, what I personally think of that one is wrong, because you always have to give your best, and you always have to think you're in a team environment. I mean, you cannot let other people down. If the team decides, I mean, there is an advantage of retiring a car or doing. It's fine, because sometimes it is like, you say we retire it and we can change some parts or something like this, but normally you have to go to the end, because first of all, you never know what is going to happen. Even if it's only 2 laps to go, you never know if there is an opportunity arising. And end of the career, just throwing it in, I think that is also not the right thing to do. I mean, people should be above that in life. I mean, you go to the end, especially if you had a good career, you had good money, you made a good living out of it, you need to give 100%. It's difficult obviously to do when you know that you're leaving, but you need to try at least, but not just giving in. That you shouldn't be doing. Quite a sad story, yeah? Because some people obviously do. Like Louis saying, "Oh, I parked the car." Buddy,
He's so done.
I mean, if I was a young boy watching that, how many times I'd want to give up on shit? I don't want to do my homework. It's hard. I don't want to go to school. I don't feel I already wanted so many excuses.
Mom, retire the essay. Retire the essay.
Retire the essay. Exactly.
I'm bad anyway at school. So I don't do it. Yeah, just give up,
That's right. Okay. Other question. This is from M. Gabriella. Do you think that Colapinto will have a seat in 2025?
I find it now more and more. And again, I mean, before you say it with your smirk, Matt, I was a big supporter of Colapinto, but I was pretty disappointed the last races, As good as he was the first 3, he was bad in the last ones,
Do you think what happens is guys like you, they get ahead of their skis, they put a crown on this guy, and then he starts to get ahead of his skis? Do you think that's what happens?
Yes, it happens. It doesn't help. Absolutely. And obviously, and everybody tells you, Red Bull wants to pay, James Vowles wants 20 million for me, or I'm worth 20 million because I'm this good. You believe it. I mean, especially when you're young. You want to be loved and to be a hero. The whole Argentinian population stands behind him. Everybody says Colapinto, the next Senna, all that stuff. And nobody around which grounds you. And I don't know who manages him or who is with him. And it's like, when you believe it and then it doesn't happen anymore, you try to force it and you cannot force driving a car fast, and then these things happen what happened. And then you're on the downward spiral and it's difficult to recover, because in the end, before everybody loved you, and now everybody, when they see you, say, "That's the idiot," Well,
I think it's important. You look at Yuki Tsunoda. He was given the time to develop into a solid driver. And if you're given that time, as opposed to coming in hot and being like, I'm the new hot thing, and then all of a sudden, it's like you're an actor in Hollywood, or you get your first movie is like humongous, and then they try to recreate it, and it just nothing ever kind of hits the same, and then all of a sudden you peaked at the start as opposed to a slow build.
Yeah.
Now it looks like ESPN. Yeah, it looks like ESPN is saying that that Hadjar would be Yuki's teammate. And Hadjar is doing FP1 for Red Bull in Abu Dhabi in a test that follows the race. They know how bad it would look for their junior program if they didn't promote Hadjar if he won F2 or was a strong second.
Yeah.
So that's
pretty crazy if Yuki keeps beating Liam. But anyway, the other thing about Colapinto is you got to remember that the situation, he thrived when nobody knew who he was and there were no expectations.
Yeah.
Right.
And now that there are all these expectations, it's crazy how
it's pressure. It's pressure
Yeah.
mentally. Yeah. It's pressure. Yeah.
Yeah. Expectations are the thief of joy. Okay. We got Abu Dhabi, final race of the year. The only kind of really relevant thing is this constructors battle. Still alive.
and second place.
And second place. That's true. Lando Norris could lose out to second place to Charles Leclerc, though he didn't seem that concerned with that when he gave the win in the sprint race to Oscar Piastri. But what do you think is going to happen?
Doesn't have that dog in him.
That's right. What do you think is going to happen in Abu Dhabi with regards to who's winning that race? What's happening between Charles and Leclerc? And what do you think is going to happen with this constructors battle?
I think the constructors battle, McLaren will get it, because the advantage they've got is not a lot, but I think it's enough because there's so much fight in the moment up there. So I think they would be pretty unlucky not to win it. And I think Lando, as you said, Lando couldn't really be bothered second or third. I mean, you're the first loser anyway, so nobody remembers you. But I think he will finish second because, obviously one goes with the other. You cannot say, It would be very strange saying that they win the constructors, but Lando loses the second place. So.
Okay. So you think that holds on. Who do you think is winning this race? Who do you think is going to be strong in Abu Dhabi? Think it's going to be Max again?
No, because the last race is Max won under special circumstances. A lot down to him driving the car and the other ones making mistakes and not getting it right, So I don't know. Who should we put there? I put Lando there to win it,
Wow. And is it because we got Zach on the pod this week?
No, and nothing to do with it. I'm not this nice with anybody, that doesn't buy him any.
Not off camera. You're certainly not.
Yeah.
You're only nice on camera, Guenther.
Yeah,
we
exactly,
know this
yeah.
about you.
Yeah,
You and George
yeah.
Russell.
Yeah. Me and Georgie.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Well, our interview with Zach Brown is already up. You can go to the video before this on YouTube if you want to watch that. All right. This is, we got one more race and then we got the Vanky Awards. 2 more beautiful episodes of Vanka Hours this season. Until then.
Bye-bye, Wankers.
Goodbye, Vanka.
Goodbye, Vankas.